Joining me now from London is Fawaz Jurgis, a professor of international relations at the London School of Economics and author of What Really Went Wrong, the West and the Failure of Democracy in the Middle East. We appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure.
So we just saw Nick Robertson's report on Israel's Prime Minister Netnyahu warning he will continue to strike Hezbollah without mercy, even in Beirut, after 4 Israeli soldiers were killed and 60 injured in a Hezbollah drone attack. What is your reaction to Israel's offensive in Lebanon so far?
Well, I don't think Israeli Prime Minister needs to threaten that he will strike everywhere in Lebanon. Israel is striking everywhere in Lebanon for the past 3 weeks. It's striking in the south, it's striking in the Bekaa Valley, it's striking in the southern suburbs of Lahia, it's striking in central Beirut, it's striking in the mountains, it's striking in the north, Tripoli, the second largest city in Lebanon. It's striking even in Christian areas in Mount Lebanon and the north, as we've seen yesterday. This is really all-out war. I think what we have seen in the past a few days or so is that Israel's and American celebration of victory over Hezbollah was very premature. Many Americans, as you know, officials and Israeli officials have already written the obituary of Hezbollah. Hezbollah seems to be on its feet. It has regained the initiative. It's escalating its attacks. It has fired hundreds of missiles at the heart of Israeli cities, including Haifa and Tel Aviv. And just yesterday, or the day before yesterday, it targeted one of these most important military bases, training special operation forces and killing and injuring scores of Israeli soldiers. This is all-out war. This is a protracted conflict. Hezbollah is planning for the long game. I think sadly and tragically, this will turn out to be as badly as Gaza, if not more so, in the next few weeks and next few months, unless a ceasefire is achieved sooner rather than later.
And meantime, the world waits for Israel to retaliate against Iran's recent barrage of ballistic missiles. The Biden administration is sending an anti-missile system and 100 US troops to Israel in anticipation of Iran hitting back. So how much closer does this take the whole region to a much wider, expanded war?
Well, as you know, Rosemary, we have been warning for the past 12 months, since the 7th of October, that the war, Israel's war in Gaza, could easily escalate into all-out regional conflict. Here we are now. The fact that the United States has deployed the most sophisticated air defense system to, or will deploy it in the next few days to Israel, along with 100 American soldiers to man the air defense system, tells me that the Biden administration is expecting the worst. Is expecting Israel to retaliate big times against Iran, and is also the Biden administration expecting Iran to retaliate against Israel's response. So we could wake up tomorrow and see really all-out regional conflict directly between Israel and Iran. So the war in Gaza, Israel's war in Gaza, which the Biden administration has been saying he does not really want the war to escalate beyond Gaza, not only the Biden administration has failed to bring about an end to the bloodletting in Gaza, the Biden administration has failed to prevent the war in Gaza from escalating into Lebanon and now escalating into a direct war between Israel and Iran. And finally, I want to say, where are the adults, Rosemary? Where are the firefighters? What you have now are only arsonists. Arsonists really pouring gasoline on a raging fire. And the tragedy is that civilians are paying a heavy price for that. Mostly, whether it's in Gaza or in Lebanon or in Israel, only civilians are paying, mainly civilians paying this catastrophic price for this senseless war in the past 12 months.
So, Professor, what is the solution? How does the international community break this cycle of violence? We've already seen so many efforts when it comes to a ceasefire and a hostage deal, and they have failed. So what happens next? What needs to happen next to stop this fighting?
You know, Rosemary, please let's stop talking about the international community. We're talking about the United States of America, not the international community. The United States has a monopoly. Israel does not listen to anyone. Israel listens to one primary audience, that is the United States.
But Professor, they're not listening to the United States.
Exactly. That's exactly what we have been saying for the past 12 months. The United States feeds the war. The United States arms Israel. The United States now is deploying American forces to Israel. The United States shields Israel in international the Security Council. That the United States does not really seem to be able or willing to use leverage again, to convince Israeli Prime Minister and his coalition to have ceasefire. What we need to do, and the bloodletting in Gaza, have a political vision. We know what the political vision. The political vision is ending Israel's military occupation of Palestinian lands, granting the Palestinians self-determination. Israel and the Palestinians live, side by side in peace. My take on it, if you really ask me, what I really would like to say, I really believe deep in my heart, Rosemary, the Palestinians are Israel's only salvation, not the United States. The Palestinians could become Israel's moral conscience in the same way that the African American community is the moral conscience of the United States. Israel's really, long-term security and peace lies in genuine reconciliations with the Palestinians, not basically becoming a bigger and a more lethal military fortress as the United States has turned Israel to be.
Fawaz Jurges, thank you for joining us live from London. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
This appears to be one of the deadliest attacks on Israel since the beginning of this war more than a year ago. 4 Israeli troops were killed in this drone attack fired by Hezbollah that struck an Israeli military base about 40 miles south of the Lebanese border. An additional 61 Israeli soldiers were injured in this incident, at least 8 of them in serious condition, according to Israeli authorities. And indeed, the Israeli military and its defense minister are vowing that they will investigate this incident because it appears that at least one of these drones fired by Hezbollah reached this base undetected. Now, as all of this is happening, the United States is also providing Israel with an additional air defense system, not necessarily to guard against those drones being fired by Hezbollah, but instead to guard against ballistic missiles being fired by Iran. The U.S. military now providing Israel with the THAAD system. This is an advanced anti-missile system. And in addition to that, they're also sending about 100 U.S. troops to Israel to operate that system. And it's notable, of course, because it comes at a moment of extremely heightened tensions between Iran and Israel, as Israel and the United States have been closely coordinating on what Israel's military response will be against Iran.